You feel like you're trying everything. You work hard, seek knowledge, repeat positive affirmations, but abundance simply won't take root in your life. It seems there's an invisible ceiling, a silent barrier keeping you from moving forward. What if I told you that this lock isn't out there in the world, but inside you? What if the real reason money won't stay in your life is tied to emotional wounds from your childhood? Wounds you didn't even know you were still carrying. In this video, you'll discover why, despite all your effort, prosperity keeps slipping through your fingers. And more importantly, you'll learn how to free your soul from the unconscious pacts that still bind you to the past. Now write in the comments, "Today, I break the pact with scarcity. I free myself with love." This affirmation will be the first step in activating the energy of transformation. To understand why so many of us repeat patterns of lack and sabotage our own prosperity, we need to dive into the work of one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, Jacobo Grinberg. This Mexican neuroscientist dedicated his life to investigating the mysteries of consciousness, blending science, spirituality, and ancestral traditions. His most striking theory, known as the neuronal field, asserts that reality isn't an objective mirror of the external world, but a projection of our own perceptual structure. According to Grinberg, everything we experience, even our relationship with money, is shaped by unconscious records, repressed emotions, and vibrational patterns we've carried since childhood. That means if you grew up in an environment where abundance was linked to fear, conflict, or shame, your mind might still be rejecting prosperity as a way to protect you. Carl Jung reinforced this idea, teaching that the unconscious is not your enemy, but a part of you that acts on everything it learned to keep you alive. The good news? Just as it was programmed, your unconscious can be reprogrammed. And that's the key we're going to explore now. From our earliest years, we're exposed to situations we can't understand rationally. Without structured language or developed logic, we absorb the world through emotion. Every disapproving glance, every fight about money, every moment of tension or lack leaves a silent mark, embedding a vibrational record in body and psyche. These experiences form what we might call our invisible childhood. Not the one you clearly remember, but the one that lives inside you as a conditioned reflex, quietly shaping your decisions and reactions. In practice, this means you can yearn for wealth, repeat abundance affirmations, even study financial strategies. But if deep inside you there's an unconscious record linking money to danger, rejection, or abandonment, your own system will repel what you consciously say you want. The problem isn't your desire, but the unconscious vibration still whispering, "This isn't safe." Neuroscience has confirmed that intense childhood emotional records carve deep pathways in the brain, neural networks that become automatic. Even more striking, the brain doesn't distinguish between what's happening now and what was intensely felt in the past. So if, as a child, you witnessed a violent argument over money, even if you're financially stable today, your body might react to success with anxiety, guilt, or sabotage, as if trying to protect you from something it still believes is dangerous. This silent programming affects not just what you think about money, but how you vibrate. And the universe, as Grinberg said, doesn't respond to your effort, but to your frequency. That's why so many people hustle, study, work themselves to exhaustion, and still find themselves trapped in the same cycles of lack. It's not a lack of skill, it's an internal vibration rooted in fear. More than recalling trauma, you must recognize that a part of you still carries that child's unprocessed feelings, a part that never felt heard, validated, or protected. And as long as that part is ignored, it will keep making decisions in silence, sabotaging, postponing, or pushing away whatever could bring fulfillment. Therefore, the first step toward true abundance isn't doing more, but feeling more. Look inside with compassion and ask, what within me still believes money is dangerous? What did I learn about wealth before I even understood the world? The answers may be uncomfortable, but they're also the beginning of genuine healing. One of the deepest and often most unconscious bonds we carry is the one with our parents. Even if you're an adult living on your own, a part of who you are, or think you are, was shaped in the first years inside your parents' home. It's in that environment that we subtly learned how to relate to the world, to worthiness, to love, and to money. It's natural, as we mature, to develop criticisms of what we experienced. Many harbor deep resentments toward absent, authoritarian, neglectful, or emotionally immature parents. Feeling pain about that is legitimate. Yet the real obstacle to prosperity isn't recognizing those faults, but the constant judgment, crystallized resentment, and unprocessed anger. When you condemn your parents without integrating them, you bind yourself even more tightly to their patterns. It's the paradox of repetition. Grinberg taught that reality is created by our individual perceptual field. What you reject with intensity tends to reappear, not as punishment, but as a mirror. That's why many people, even while hating certain parental behaviors, end up repeating the same mistakes. When you judge, you reinforce your vibrational bond to what you most want to avoid. There's also a powerful spiritual law found across cultures. Honoring father and mother doesn't mean accepting abuse or silencing yourself in the face of injustice, but freeing yourself from the need to hold resentment as a shield. True forgiveness isn't about absolving the other, but about untying the knot that binds you to them. Forgiving interrupts the cycle. Many seeking financial independence ask themselves, how do I move out of my parents' house? How do I free myself from them emotionally? But they don't realize that what traps them isn't the physical place, but the emotional bond still charged with judgment. You can move out, change cities, cut contact, but as long as resentment lives in you, you remain tied to the same vibrational field. That bond is so powerful, it even shapes your romantic relationships, your bosses, your mentors. Unwittingly, you choose partners who resemble your parental figures or repeat the same fear and scarcity patterns you witnessed. That's why unhealed parental judgment turns into a psychic prison. True freedom isn't severing ties violently, but transforming pain into understanding. That doesn't mean excusing mistakes, but seeing the chain of intergenerational trauma and choosing to be the link that breaks the pattern. Only those who forgive can move on, and only those who understand a cycle's origin have the strength to shatter it. Have you ever wondered why, even when everything seems aligned, something inside you panics? Why, at the real chance of financial growth, of gaining something new, or simply receiving good fortune, you feel a stir, an almost automatic self-sabotage? The answer often lies where few look, in the body. Trauma isn't just a memory, it's above all a physical record. When we undergo fear, humiliation, rejection, or abandonment in childhood, our nervous system kicks into survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze. If these experiences repeat, the body comes to operate as if the world is inherently threatening. Over time, that perception becomes chronic. Even if you're safe and supported now, your system reacts as if you're still in danger. This reaction is subtle but powerful. Anxiety when signing a contract, insomnia when an opportunity arises, guilt receiving unexpected money, or psychosomatic illness before a big leap. The body learned that success, pleasure, and abundance are threats. Not because they truly are, but because they were experienced that way at some pivotal moment. Neuroscience shows that the emotional brain, especially the limbic system, stores these memories as a library of alerts. It doesn't question logic, it simply recognizes patterns. So if money once meant tension for your parents, or prosperity sparked envy and distance, your body may have learned that being prosperous equals danger, and to be safe, it blocks your growth. Grinberg understood this deeply. For him, the perceptual field shapes not only external reality but your inner configuration. If your perception is molded by fear, your field adjusts to maintain that pattern. Opportunities vanish, relationships break, vital energy drains, all to return you to the known state, however painful it might be. Curiously, the fear of prosperity isn't conscious. Nobody wakes up saying, "Today I'll sabotage my own happiness." On the contrary, most see themselves trying and trying, yet always hitting the same wall. What locks you down isn't your rational mind, but your body conditioned to avoid perceived risk. Liberation starts when you acknowledge you're not lazy, incompetent, or unlucky. You're trapped in a biological protection response, and that response can be transformed. But not by positive thinking alone. You must reintegrate the body into the process. Conscious breathing, deep visualizations, relaxation techniques, and affirmations truly felt in the body are essential to retrain the nervous system to accept abundance as safe. When the body knows it's safe, money stops scaring it, and suddenly the flow opens. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, nor is it justifying. It's letting go. This is one of life's hardest but most transformative lessons. When it comes to prosperity, many don't see they're bound to the past, not by memories themselves, but by the emotional charge they still carry. Here, forgiveness ceases to be a moral or religious act and becomes a vibrational portal. You might repeat a desire to change your life 1,000 times, set goals, work tirelessly, try every method. Yet if you still harbor resentment, especially toward those central figures in your formation, that resentment acts like an energetic anchor. You move, but you don't go anywhere. The trap of unforgiveness lies in the judgment cycle. When we judge, we unconsciously take on the task of being better, of correcting the other's wrong, of becoming the opposite of what we condemn. But in reality, we draw closer to what we reject. Jung taught, "What you resist persists, what you deny dominates." And at the unconscious level, that translates as repetition. Grinberg saw forgiveness as vibrational deprogramming. To him, forgiving wasn't saying it's okay, but acknowledging what happened and choosing not to vibrate from that pain anymore. In doing so, you step out of the victim narrative and become co-creator of your reality. This doesn't erase your story. It gives it new meaning. Forgiving your parents, for instance, doesn't mean accepting their mistakes or pretending there was no hurt. It's understanding that they too were shaped by pain, that they repeated what they learned, that they did their best with their emotional resources. That doesn't excuse them, but it explains, and explanation can be the first step toward release. Without forgiveness, you carry your parents within you as living shadows, influencing your choices, relationships, and worldview. With forgiveness, you transform them into teachers of what you refuse to repeat. Forgiveness restores your emotional autonomy and dissolves the unconscious pacts that keep you tied to inherited scarcity. True liberation comes when you grasp that forgiveness isn't a gift to another. It's a gift to yourself. It's the key opening the door to a new frequency. On that frequency, money, abundance, and peace cease to be pursued. They become naturally attracted. Inside every adult lives a child, not a symbolic figure, but a real, living, sensitive presence carrying the deepest records of your emotional experience. That child was exposed to the world without filters, without explanation, without structure, seeing, hearing, and feeling long before it could name any emotion. And it's that same child who, far too often, still makes your most important decisions today, including those about money. When we talk about abundance, we can't ignore the influence of the inner child. She doesn't merely want toys or affection. She wants to be seen, validated, protected. And if in childhood she learned that wanting is dangerous, that asking leads to rejection, that shining invites envy, she will do everything to keep you safe, even if it means blocking your expansion, sabotaging your achievements, or preventing you from receiving. Grinberg and Jung shared converging views on this inner dimension. Grinberg saw the unconscious shaping reality through vibrational records of consciousness. Jung saw the inner child as the source of spontaneity, creativity, and connection to the self. Both perspectives point to the same truth. Without integrating this part of ourselves, we live divided, and that split breeds conflict, lack, and a constant sense of struggle. Integrating the inner child isn't regression. It's deep maturation. It's sitting with yourself, closing your eyes and listening. What does this part of me still fear? What does it need to hear to finally trust? Sometimes all that child wants is to know that you, today, can protect her, that she no longer needs to hide, that it's safe to prosper. This inner dialogue is more potent than any visualization technique. It's a reunion that shifts vibration. When you embrace your inner child, sabotage becomes cooperation. The part that feared now aligns with the part that desires. In that integration, true strength to sustain abundance is born. Without this welcome, you remain in dissonance, saying you want money but feeling guilty for it, seeking success but fearing loss of love from those around you. This internal conflict is what weakens your vibration most. Integration heals the contradiction. And here's a key detail. The inner child responds to truth, not performance. She senses when you're faking it, when you say you love yourself but still disdain yourself. That's why the path isn't perfection, but sincerity. Tell yourself, I'm learning to care for you. From now on, I won't abandon you. When that union happens, everything changes, because you're no longer split, and a whole integrated person wields the power to create an entire reality where abundance is no longer feared, but fully lived. You may not recall, but at some point in your childhood you made pacts, silent, invisible, unconscious promises serving as protection against pain, rejection, shame, or abandonment. Pacts like, I'll never be like my father. If I have money, they'll hate me. I don't deserve more than they gave me. It's wrong to want too much. Though invisible, these commitments hold power. They shape your reality. They determine how much you allow yourself to receive. Grinberg described the unconscious as a matrix reproducing vibrational patterns. If your vibration was built on fear, scarcity, or denial of pleasure, that's what you'll keep creating, even when you consciously desire the opposite. The only way to break the cycle is to identify and shatter these pacts. Breaking a pact isn't just saying, I don't believe that anymore. It's taking an internal stand. It's making a vibrational decision. It's declaring to the universe and to yourself, I choose to prosper. I choose to receive. I no longer carry vows that aren't mine. This kind of decision demands courage, because it means leaving survival mode and risking a full life. Jung taught that whatever remains unconscious will be experienced as fate. That's exactly what happens to those still bound by emotional pacts. They repeat patterns, live sabotage, and call it bad luck, karma, or reality. But the truth is, there is a turning point, and that point is a choice. The decision to prosper isn't a financial goal, it's an existential choice. It's the moment you stop asking permission to exist, to desire, to shine. It's when you stop justifying wanting more from life and start honoring what you feel, dream, and believe. And that changes everything, because your vibration leaves ambiguity behind. And when there's no ambiguity, manifestation follows. You can't create a new life while still emotionally committed to an unresolved past. Those commitments surface in crises, when you're about to achieve something and fear, sabotage, or guilt arise. That's the pact's voice. Now you can listen with awareness and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but now I take care of myself. Now I choose differently. That rupture marks the true beginning of freedom. Money, prosperity, and well-being aren't built by effort alone. They're sustained by internal decisions. And the deepest decision is to stop living by pain and start living by truth. That's the new covenant, not with fear, but with your potential. Now that you've come this far, take a deep breath and acknowledge the transformation already underway within you. This video wasn't just an explanation. It was a mirror, an inner journey, a call to your deepest truth. And now that that truth has been touched, you have two choices: ignore it or act on it. Real healing isn't just understanding, it's applying. So I invite you today to make a conscious choice. Start listening to your inner child. Free yourself from the pacts that no longer serve you, and declare through daily actions that you're ready to prosper authentically. Return to this video whenever you need to remember who you are. Share it with someone you feel is also ready to break the cycle. And if this content touched your soul, if it made sense to you, subscribe to this channel. Here, we continue building a safe space for healing, expansion, and truth. Leave your comment, speak and write. Today, I break the pact with scarcity. My soul is ready to live. Because when you write, you vibrate. And when you vibrate, the universe responds.